Welcome back, Duke fans, to another episode of the Brotherhood podcast. We're somewhat into the midst of the season here, but we have a very special guest today. J-Rob, Justin Robinson, back in Durham. How's it feel?
It's great to be back. It's home. It's a second home to me, and so yeah, it feels natural.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to have you here. I've known you now a little, briefly through K Academy, but I'm excited to have a conversation today just to hear more about your journey here, your time obviously playing professionally in Israel, which you just got back from, and just hear a little bit more about yourself off the court. So thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the past few months just quickly because it's so relevant to what's going on in the world today. Obviously, you're playing in Israel, just outside of Tel Aviv, right?
Yes, kind of like a northern suburb, basically, of Tel Aviv, about 10 minutes away.
The past, you played 2 full seasons there, and then obviously this past season was cut short. Could you talk me through the past just couple months, I guess? Obviously, I'm sure a chaotic experience.
Yeah, I mean, kind of started off as normal, early September, get out there. We were there doing our preseason practices, some exhibition games, and then, it was going to be the first game week. It was like a day off before the first game week. Had been there for about a month, and just kind of wake up to the news of, or really wake up to phone calls from teammates, and checking in on me, asking if I'm okay, and I'm confused, I'm like, what's going on? And so, kind of start hearing all the news that's going on throughout that day, and it was a very scary situation. A tough situation that's still going on over there. But fortunately, actually, I have some friends that Coach Shire introduced me to when I first went over to Israel that I got to be good friends with myself. And they invited me over to their house. I stayed with them. They took care of me and kind of kept me safe and kept me, mentally okay and emotionally kind of okay until I could get a flight out. Was able to get a flight out, met up with my family, got home. Now, I'm good. I'm safe.
Yeah. It's hard to even consider. I feel like we live in such a bubble here that it's. I remember Coach Shire the day after it happened, he was talking about, and he brought up you being over there and playing and just trying to, I guess put that on us and make sure we realize just how, just how blessed we are to be in the situation here. But he brought that up and how that he was able to introduce you to a family that he knew well. But you would I think you were talking before this that you had known them for a little while when you first got over there, correct?
Yeah. So I played 2 full seasons in Israel the last couple years, and I met this family, the Papachados, the first couple weeks I was there. Actually, my first time being there, they invited me over for a nice Shabbat dinner, family dinner. We had a lot of fun, and so I saw them pretty frequently, actually. They got to be good friends over those couple years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long were you at their place before you were able to get a flight out of there?
I was there for 5 days.
Okay.
And then, got a flight out.
How about the experience with your teammates? I asked you this yesterday. Just how many teammates are from Israel? You said the overwhelming majority of them on the team, right?
Yeah. When you're playing overseas, most leagues, it'll be 2 to 6 foreigners allowed, and then the rest of the team would be local players. And so for my league, it was 2 foreigners allowed, and then the other 11 or so were local guys.
Yeah. Any word from them? Obviously, you mentioned that they're calling you, making sure you're all right. What have they been? Have they been trying to relocate far away?
They where we were, they didn't really need to relocate, but still, not doing too much. You're staying pretty safe. You have to be in bomb shelters at random times, so staying near to those, keeping that in mind. But I think they've been saying they've been starting, to work out and practice again a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen with their season.
Yeah, obviously.
Just trying to kind of, get back to social, doing as much as you can just safely right now. Yeah. But they said they've been saying it's still a very serious situation, still a tough time over there.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's hard to imagine. So you get back a couple weeks ago. where you're kind of at right now with your thinking of what's next for you. Obviously, the season's cut short, something you could predict. Now you're in a middle space. What's your thought process right now about where you're at?
Yeah, I think this is a great time for my life because just being that season being cut short, it gives me a chance to really pause and to think, kind of reevaluate things, just as a whole person, with career, life, just to take that time. And so one of the things that I'm really interested in is coaching, and so I'm hoping to this season come back as a player development coach and help y'all grow as players and as people off the court, in class, obviously on the court as much as I can. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but that would be a really cool thing to do.
Oh, that'd be pretty incredible. And we've had such a it seems like such a lineage here of past players that understand what it takes to be successful here, come back and have such a positive effect on the program. I assume you've seen a ton of that. What is the and it always comes back. Obviously, the name of the podcast is the Brotherhood podcast. It comes back to that. We do a lot of talking about it. What does that kind of mean to you? It seems like with Shire putting you in contact with that family and being able to potentially come back and affect the program in a positive light. What is me and you met at K Academy, so another facet of the Brotherhood. Can you just talk about, I guess, what it means to you?
Yeah, I think the Brotherhood to me, the more and more like time goes on, the more I see how much it really means. Like how so many times you have like friends from either high school or college and like great friends, but just life kind of takes you apart. You go separate ways and you lose contact. But I think the Brotherhood is just a special bond that even, when we're all over the place, when you get together, you really just pick up like you never left, especially with the guys that you play with. And then in addition to just those teammates, you have the different generations. And so, I think K Academy is an awesome reunion for us and a chance to meet all the different teams and, different players that you could think of. Like I have friends, I'm really good friends with Chip England. And he played a while ago. We were talking about, I think we had a 30-year maybe difference roughly. And but we just hit it off. We became friends and kind of through common themes, common experiences with coach and with the program. So I think that's just a special relationship. And we look out for each other. Like you're saying with Coach Shire looking out for me, I get now a chance to look out for y'all, and to try to take care of the program and take care of each other as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think you noticed that as a player too. I'm sure you can think of instances, but I remember when Coach Shire was telling us about your situation in Israel, and just to, we were in the heat of the season, and you think Coach Shire at the head of it all has a million things going on, but he sees that and immediately is thinking about how he can help you as a former player. I think that kind of thing resonates with myself and us as players right now. It just gives you a lot of confidence and reassurance in the program and the Brotherhood, like you're saying. So, quite a big deal. Yeah. Chip England's a San Antonio Spurs guy now too, right?
He was, I think, this year actually he just transitioned to OKC, to the Thunder. But he, for a long time, San Antonio. So we kind of had a connection through that, but we really got closer when I came to Duke and through K Academy. We coached together on Team San Antonio, actually. So that worked out great. And so, we got way closer, became actual friends. Before it was, through my dad and through the Spurs, we knew each other, but it's a different relationship once you become the Brotherhood.
Yeah, absolutely. So back stateside for the rest of this year, hoping to get into coaching and helping out with this team. Are you ready to give up playing, or have you thought about that?
I think that's one of the decisions I'll make. I'm still, my body still feels great, and I was playing this year, and so I still feel like I can. I think now I just want to decide what my priorities would be, because I think with being overseas, you have the being away for 9 to 10 months.
Yep.
That's a really big factor. It's hard. It's a hard part of it. It's amazing, and there's so many new experiences, and you're playing basketball, so it's fun, but you're away. You miss a lot of your family and your friends. You can get lonely. Like sometimes there were 2 out of my 4 years. I went to a place and I didn't know a single person in the country, like that, and you're there for 9 months, and you're like, I better learn how to make friends quickly, But it's exhausting. It can be fun, but it's tiring, and so I gotta kind of decide, what are my priorities. Do I want to keep playing, or do I want to get into coaching? I have the MMS, same thing you did. So do I want to go into the business route? I love music, so maybe that down a music route of some sort. There's a lot of kind of interests right now I'm trying to sort through.
Yeah, there's no problem with that. I'm doing the same thing as well. Where were you playing before Israel?
So I did my rookie season in Montenegro, actually, and then in a town called Podgorica, the capital of Montenegro, and then did 2 full years, and then this was going to be my 3rd year in Israel.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. Interesting. And then the last question I was going to ask is, you just spoke about it, but what draws you to coaching, to the possibility of coming back and staying around basketball and being a coach?
Well, I would say, to be honest, other people telling me that I would be a good coach it never was a thought that I had growing up. I always thought, playing's fun, but coaching, it wasn't that I had anything against it. It never occurred to me. But I think while I was here, especially, something that came naturally was the kind of mentoring. I mean, at the time, I wasn't, even when I was like a freshman, it wasn't, I don't know if I would call it mentoring, but like having little meetings, with like Marshall or like Matt Jones, or having those little talks and like talking through what they can do to adjust to that team, thinking through like how can they be more effective as a player, not thinking about what I'm doing, just thinking, what can we do as a team or as an individual player to be better. It's a really fun thing. Like, that's a fun thing to talk through, and it's fun to work with guys, just try to get better. And so I think that's my main draw to coaching, is seeing how I can help, especially individual players and as young men, grow and find what they want to do, and help them get the most out of their experience here. And then I want to, hopefully if I can come back here, I would love to learn and explore the other sides of coaching, the game planning, the breaking down film, and trying to explain that to a team. That stuff I really have no clue about, but would love to see what it's like and to learn from. We have one of the best coaching staffs in the world here, and so to be able to learn and grow with them would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move into, you touched on it, but your time at Duke, I wanted to ask a ton of questions about it, because I didn't realize you were part of a ton of really special teams here.
Oh yeah, I had some fun times here.
which is pretty exciting and cool. But let's talk. Can you talk me through your recruiting process? You come in as a preferred walk-on.
Yes.
Obviously a pretty unique position, and I'm sure you'd had other opportunities. What was that process like? What drew you to Duke?
Yeah, I would say, my senior year was when I first really started getting recruited. I kind of a late bloomer, hit a big growth spurt in high school. So by like junior year, I got to be 6'6", 6'7", started to be able to jump a little, started to kind of grow into and figure it out. But I was really not that great of a athlete or basketball. I was super skinny. I kind of knew the game a little bit just from watching so much Spurs basketball. You can learn a lot. So I kind of had a decent IQ, but I was not a Duke caliber player. Basically, I was starting to get recruited by some smaller schools, but I actually was a huge Duke fan growing up. When I was really young, my dad came to a leadership conference of some sort. with that coach was putting on, that Coach K was putting on. And he came back from it. He like spent time like talking to the team a little bit and talking to coach a lot because they had the dream team connection.
Yeah.
Like they knew each other. And he came back home and was just raving about Duke as a basketball program, as a culture, and as a school. He was just like essentially he was like, one of y'all should go to Duke. And for me, I took it. And so started watching Duke basketball, became a huge fan, came to a couple Duke camps. Like when I was in high school, like freshman and sophomore years of high school, came to like the Duke basketball camp and got to know, Coach Shire and Coach K through those. And yeah, they reached out to me, said I could come be a preferred walk-on, asked if that was interesting, and told me, that they believe in my potential and that I can grow as a player. And yeah, I bought in. Like it was an easy decision, honestly. Like it was like took me probably like a week to decide. I was like, all right, let me do it. I want in, and yeah, never looked back.
So you mentioned they believed in your progress and that, and obviously they did. You eventually earned a scholarship, and they were talking. TB and Nolan were talking. There was quite a video recorded in the locker room. Can you talk me through that? Can you talk me through that? What that was like?
Yeah, no, that was. I mean, that was simply put, that was an honor. Like it was just to have earned that level of respect and trust. Like they trusted me that much, and to give me a scholarship, and then for my teammates to celebrate me like that, it's it felt like a big reward and recognition for the hard work that I had been putting in.
Yeah, it means a ton, and I feel like I've been on a lot of teams I've been a lot of teams in my career where you see the positive effect of that walk-ons can have, but especially here with the highest level of caliber, I feel like both character and players that you get in walk-ons here, and we just promoted Spencer Hubbard. He's on scholarship this year, and I wasn't here for his full 4 years, but you can just see the effect he has, and it's just really fun to be a part of a group that you see. When everybody else on the team can see the positive impact they're having, and they're rewarded with a scholarship, it's one of the more special moments I think a college basketball team can go through. I feel like that's why you see so many of those videos come out.
Yeah, it is. It's a special energy.
I heard there was water guns and everything in the locker room.
Yeah, like whipped cream, like foam, like foam, like pies, and sprayed it all, like put it all over my head. I have I have some funny pictures and stuff of those. Nice. Grayson was my roommate at one point, and he got me a puzzle with a picture of him hitting my head with the pie and me just covered in drenched because all the water guns are covered with whipped cream. That was fun.
You mentioned Grayson, and I was looking through the years that you were here, obviously just on a ton of star-studded teams and rosters, and obviously it's what Duke has become now, just an incredible amount of turnover with the top level talent. Can you talk me through what that was like, just being a part of so many different teams, but all you saw so much talent come through here.
I did.
What was that experience like?
Incredible, just something new every day, even just with that level of talent and the amount of growth that so many of those players had. You really just seeing them evolve into superstars, and that's incredible. And then to be a part of that, to learn with them, and for me, it was pretty hard because my matchups in practice were probably some of the hardest matchups I would argue with any college player has ever had. My freshman year, my matchup was Brandon Ingram, and then my sophomore year is Jason Tatum, and then my junior year is Marvin Bagley and Wendell Carter, switching off between them. And then my senior year was Zion. And so, you just go year to year. That's who you're playing every day. Yeah. That's who I'm guarding. That's who I'm trying to score on. And it's kind of trial by fire, but it got me to be such a better player and to understand the game so much better. And it taught me to it taught me to grow up and be tougher, and to find my own confidence, because you're not gonna look that good if you're guarding those guys. You're really not.
Yeah.
But to have like confidence in yourself, in your work, and to see the progress. It's like maybe this time, you couldn't stop him at all. But then it's like, okay, no, I stopped that move, but then he learns a counter. And then, but you're growing, you're challenging each other, and you can watch them get better. And then, all of those guys I mentioned, all of them are like we had amazing guards as well that, I didn't guard every day, but we're meeting each other at the rim. Like that was kind of my thing, is I'm a shot blocker, kind of in my mind, that's my specialty. Mm-hmm. And so to meet guys at the rim and, challenge them and like, I can jump, like I can keep up with you. Like you got to work to score on me, and to have that mutual respect that you would see from them where, they're incredible players. They could easily have an ego and be like, no, I'm like way better than this walk on. Yeah. But to have that respect and to take that challenge and then to challenge me back, like that type of environment was so fun every year, every day. Like, it's, like, where else can you get that?
Absolutely. How funny is it? I feel like I've dealt with a similar thing in terms of, and what you're describing is you keep getting older and better, and just a new, incredible 18-year-old freshman comes in. Yeah. I feel like last year I was a fifth-year senior and coming in and guarding Flip and Derek Lively in practice every day. Mm-hmm. It's humbling to see such a young player. And this year, like we have some really talented freshmen, and Sean Stewart comes in. He's a freak athlete. He's jumping, he's grabbing rebounds like 2 feet above where I am in practice this year. So that's another like interesting dynamic because you played a fifth year as well.
I did, yeah.
So
then I was more in the mix, so it wasn't like absolutely. I was just scout team. So that was seeing different matchups. Yeah, that year. That was another experience.
Let's move into that fifth year and specifically. The Carolina game at home, your senior night. Can you talk me through, obviously, such an incredible game for the team, but also you personally? What are the kind of emotions going through your head? You just spoke about the 4 years of being that walk-on role and talking through what that dynamic's like, and then your senior year, you just mentioned more in the mix, more of a having impact on games specifically. Mm-hmm. What's kind of going through your head during that Carolina game at home?
Yeah, I mean, the Carolina game, honestly, I came into that game with a lot of confidence because the last couple games before that, I'd started to get a lot more minutes and, had played, pretty solid going into them. And coach had a lot more trust in me at that point, give me a lot more freedom when I was on the court to make decisions, we liked to play a lot of high-low. So to have that chance to shoot when I wanted to, and then to look for those over the top passes down to like Vernon, and then to go and just have fun and play hard defense and do what we can, and then just be a leader on the court. Like that was what was going through my mind, that kind of in stretch. And so that Carolina game, I felt good about it. I don't know, going into it, I think it was nerves, but like fun nerve. Mm-hmm. It's like excitement, and the energy in here is amazing. And then for it to be my last game here, in Cameron, it was a special energy. And then, when we got on the court, it just came naturally. I wasn't really thinking. I was just playing, having fun, trying to be outside of myself, try to soak in the atmosphere, and just try to be with my teammates and try to win a tough game. So I didn't even, a lot of the stuff, I didn't realize how, well, it went until, afterward, it just kind of was play by play and, try to do the next thing right and, do it well, and you kind of get into a flow. Yeah, that was a really special, fun game. That was, for sure, the most fun game of my career here.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned not realizing until after, either how well you played or whatever. It seems like there's been talk, at least when I get a lot of guys that have played in a ton of those Duke UNC games, and I've played in 2 thus far, but it seems like there's so much emotion and so much passion in the game that there's an element of you almost black out playing during the game.
Absolutely.
Did you feel that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. You like get into this flow of like there's too much to think
Yeah.
about, so you really just can't think about. Like you can't think about anything. You just have to be like, okay, like for me it was like I was saying, like I picked like two things really to focus on, and then everything else just kind of came naturally. Like so like for me it was like defense, like that's what I'm gonna like work hard and try to like rebound as much as possible and like try to block some shots, like try to help protect the rim, and then try to help on like those ball screens, like help because Trey was such an amazing on-ball defender. Try to be there and make his life as easy as possible, and make their guards' life as miserable as possible. And then on the other end, just to be like the leader, the talker, like the glue for the team, because there's so much emotion, somebody to kind of level us. And that was my goal. And that all I thought about all game long was just do that. Like each possession is like, how can I do that? And then, yeah, and then the game was over. You're just like, oh, great, we did it. Yes,
I had the exact same experience. It's weird. It's hard to describe. It almost feels like it's like play by play, and then the game's over. And it's like, oh my god, we won.
No sense of
Great.
no sense of like, okay, like first half's like kind of winding down. It's like no, like it just you're just going like and you gotta trust. Like for me, I was like, coach has got that covered. Like I was like, I'll just get into the timeout and like he'll explain what we need to do this segment, and just focus on that segment, what we're doing, and what our plan is, and and just try to be us. Like I think when those big games come up, it's just all of your core principles as a team, like all the stuff you start working on in the summer. Like when you get here, with Coach Will, and like when those individual workouts and with the pickup, like your core, it's heart and like toughness and communication. It doesn't matter what the schemes are, it doesn't matter what plays you're running. Like you just got to go make it, make it happen. Go get a rebound. Like who cares who you're blocking out? Just go, go make it work. And I think that's what's special about those big games, and like the energy in that arena. I mean, you feel it like shake. You feel Cameron just like shaking, and it feels electric. You could it's a different atmosphere. And so those are special. Those are really cool.
Last question about your time playing at Duke. A couple weeks after that UNC game, COVID hits, and that season is cut short. I know you guys were on a roll, a super hot team. What did that feel like? How disheartening was that?
Yeah, I mean that was hard. I think in so many ways though, like that whole pandemic, COVID, it just like everything came to a stop, and so for us it was our season. We had a lot of momentum. We had kind of started to find each other, like find out how to play together, because we had talent. Like so many of Duke teams, we get talent, but to be able to like work together and make each other better, and just to find your role in how how each guy can. We were just starting to figure out how each guy could contribute. And then for me personally, I was taking a huge role at that point, like I was getting into the main rotation at that point. I was one of the guys we were relying on. So for me, there was a whole new fun experience I was looking forward to. But, I mean, it's okay. I really have no regrets or anything about it. I think, honestly, to leave on that high note of that Carolina game was kind of awesome. Like to just have that be the last thing, like that's not a bad way to end it. And so it was really, it was disheartening, especially at the time. But in hindsight, I don't think I would have really changed my Duke experience. I think it went as it should have, and it was a huge blessing for me.
Yeah, that's a good outlook on everything. If we could move into some off the court stuff, one of the said a couple times, one of the main premises of the podcast is to give fans and Duke fans an inside look into the personalities and perspectives of members of the Brotherhood. So I have a couple questions about interests and hobbies off the court. And first, I wanted to ask about your interest in music. Obviously, guitar, guitar player, and you just released a single about a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk me through
Yeah.
when you got interested in music, if it's been, I guess, how you got interested, and
For
how's it
sure.
going?
Yeah, I guess one thing for me is like my family just has always liked music. Like especially my dad. Um, he would just have musical instruments around. You know, a bunch. We just had a bunch of different things that we could pick up and try when we were young. Whether it be like a ukulele or like a bass or piano, we could just try it. And my brother was and still is an incredible musician. But like growing up, that was really one of his main hobbies, his main passions, and he would drag me along, kind of. He would, if he wanted to play learn like a guitar solo, he would have me like sit there and play like a super simple bass line. He would just like play this so I could, so I can have fun over it. So it gave me like kind of a comfort with musical instruments and music in general. And then I always loved listening to music. That was kind of how I interacted with it though, was I would just listen and find new music was my hobby, kind of involving music. And then my grad year, really, going into my grad year, I just decided to pick up a guitar just for fun. It really was on a whim. It was not much. So I just let me take a month and learn the basics, just learn like 4 or 5 chords and learn how to strum and just like write a song, like just try, and fell in love with it. Like it just took off from there. That whole last year I just spent learning guitar and like writing terrible songs and just like having fun with it though, and just like trying new things, trying different styles of music, finding what I liked, trying like acoustic and electric guitar. And then when I went, kind of continued with that. And then when I went to Israel, actually, was when it took another step, I would say. In Israel, I kind of fell into this cool music scene of I would go to some like open mics and like watch at first. Like I would just go there was a nice open stage place in my town, and I would go and check out the bands, and I ended up meeting a band that kind of played like funk and soul, like old American kind of funk and soul, really great music, and got to be friends with them. They invited me to come jam, and then that was my first experience playing with other musicians, and that's a whole nother world. That really has a lot of connections to sports, and that like to team sports specifically. Everybody has their role, and like how can you complement and show your talents, but the big picture is the most important. Like who cares if you can do all this cool stuff on a guitar if the song doesn't flow, if y'all don't sound good together. And so you have to find that balance, and you have to listen to each other, you have to communicate, and there's a magic to it. And so then I fell in love, and that's when I started writing some of this new stuff, like the stuff I've been releasing, and started, playing live shows with them, like live, not big shows, but like live, like open stage shows and stuff. And yeah, since then, the last couple years, it's been my main like hobby, passion. Like whenever I was not playing basketball, it was usually music, doing something with it.
Do you see a correlation between performing and playing basketball? And
Yeah.
obviously, you play in front of a camera. It's a high, intense. You're performing. So,
Yes.
Any correlation there?
I would say very much so. Yes, I think the nerves are very similar. Like the pressure of having an audience and trying to basically like display your talents, like what you can do to an audience, and then you're gonna be judged by that audience. Like that fear is very similar. So you get those same kind of goosebumps and like butterflies in your stomach before, and then I think on the other side of that, you get that same magic that you get once you're in it. Like you like how we were saying with the big game. Like I mean, I haven't done any big performances or anything, but when you get into a performance and things are going like, you just lose it. You lose yourself. You're not thinking anymore. You're just in the song, in the performance, having fun. You see people singing along, and you're like, that's like, it's just a a special connection, I think, that you can only find in specific things. And I think especially like team sports and music, live music, are two of those things.
You spoke about the effect your dad had on you with music. Can you talk about maybe the effect he had on you in basketball, or just in general growing up with such a prevalent sports figure as a father?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say he never pushed me to play basketball. Like, he encouraged me actually to try everything, and me and my brothers. I have two older brothers, and so growing up, yeah, he really wanted us to just try as much as we could, and then to choose for ourselves what we decided to focus on. And so until I think probably about sophomore year of high school, I was not focused on any one thing. I played soccer. I played, of course, basketball. I love volleyball. Played a ton of volleyball. Played tennis and golf, like all for like school teams and stuff. Like I was really playing them, trying them out. Played football once. Did not enjoy that. That was not for me. But my brother picked up. He took off with football and ended up playing in college. Yeah, we were just trying whatever we could. We tried gymnastics. Like my dad actually growing up was really big into gymnastics and baseball. Wow. So, like that was actually what he was pushing more, like we all had to learn, the progression to like do like a handspring and then like learn a flip, like learn how to flip, like try that out. And then, just see what we liked. And then, but doing all that, it gave me different tools to use, for basketball when I decided to focus. So that was actually a really nice way to experience it. And then to choose basketball myself, it made it feel like it was my thing, not his thing. It didn't feel like I was following his footsteps. It felt like this was what I want to do. And then, like he's a great, mentor and role model to look at, but he's not casting as much of a shadow in my mind at that point, which was amazing. And there's a lot of external pressure just because he's had an incredible career. He's incredible player. And so especially in San Antonio and, around NBA and like when I was here, there was a lot of, oh, you're Robinson's kid. Like that, it didn't bother me, I would say. It was there, but I never felt that pressure from my family, like from him. And then I never felt it from my close friends or my teammates. And so, yeah, it was fine. It was, like who cares what, you can't please everybody. You can't do, you can't be everybody's favorite. And so I could do my own thing. Like if I disappoint people because I'm not playing like him, oh well, like I wanted to be a little bit more outside. So I like learned how to shoot when I was young, I didn't want to be that guy. But then as I got more athletic, I realized dunking and blocking shots is really fun. And so then it was like, okay, wait, how did he learn how to how to dunk like that? Like in a game, like a lot of people can trick dunk, but to be able to dunk in a game is a different skill set. It's a timing and it's a positioning and it's like a connection with guards. Cause you gotta, like for us big guys, we rely on the guards a lot to get the ball, especially for a dunk. Like you're not making a post move to a dunk very often, but for like an alley-oop or something, like it's a different skill set. So I had to learn that, like watching some of his stuff and taking some moves from him and then like talking to him. But it's always been a good, like a nice balance for me between, him being the basketball player and my dad. I think I was always wanting him to be more dad than basketball player. So I never wanted him to coach me. Like I would ask for tips and then I would go work on it on my own. I really didn't work with him in the gym very often. Nice. But I did take a big advantage of that Spurs group because a lot of his teammates, especially like Tim Duncan, they stay around San Antonio and I got to be close with them and I got to learn so much over the years from them. Just picking their brain, working out, seeing how they work, how to prepare for a season in the off season, how to prepare for a game, how to be a professional about the sport. And I think those were some of the biggest lessons. And then the skills and the conditioning and the strength, they came a little bit later. But growing up, the learning how to approach it was probably the biggest lesson from my dad and from the other Spurs players.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've taken up a lot of your time today. We're going to quickly wrap up with some quick hitters.
All right.
Questions from time at Duke and off the court as well. But start with your favorite Duke memory.
Favorite Duke memory? That's a good one. Okay. There are so many, but I think that Carolina game is special. I think specifically the one time when I kind of blacked back in was, I think, toward the end of the game. I don't really know the specific how many minutes were left, but we had kind of end of a shot clock, and Trey kind of threw this pass over across the court to me, and I hit a three kind of while falling down. And then we got a stop and came down, and Cassius hit a three. It was kind of one of those big energy seal the game moments.
Yeah.
And that was when, it clicked oh, we got them. That was when it was game over. We beat them. And then to hear the crowd during that timeout and to look around and, feel that energy. I'm still kind of getting the chills and, thinking through it. And you're that was a special moment, I think.
Yeah. Favorite opposing gym to play in?
Ooh. I actually thought Indiana was a really cool one. It's very tall. It doesn't kind of spread out the bleachers. They're kind of right on top of each other and right on top of you. So it's very imposing. And then those fans are incredible. Kind of all that red is also kind of imposing. That was a very special energy of a cool away arena.
Yeah, Assembly Hall, not an easy place to play. You guys would have played them with the Big Ten.
It was one of the Big Ten.
Did you win there?
Yeah, I think we did actually.
Nice.
That was a good.
Yeah, it's straight vertical. I assume the majority of those seats are not.
Right, I can't imagine it's comfortable, but
no.
they get into it, and they're right on you. You hear them.
Favorite musical artist?
Oh, it's a band called Aspiration. It's a reggae band. A lot of the guys are from Hawaii, but I think they're based out of California now. Really incredible, relaxing, kind of positive, chill music.
Nice. Okay, so we talked about the number of teams and the individuals and the guys you guarded. What do you think is the best team you played on here? Obviously, being a part of some star-studded rosters and being on some really talented teams.
Yeah, no, that's a tough one. I don't know. To be honest, I think each team was so different, and I don't know. It was different experiences, and I think it's hard to imagine if they were match up and compare them like that. I don't really know how that would go. And then from my experience being on the teams where I think probably my senior year with Zion, RJ, Trey, Cam, we just were. That probably felt like we were dominant, most. But I think a lot of that, though, it was because of the, athletic ability of those guys, where we played a really exciting style of basketball. So it felt like we were doing, we were dominating because we're dunking on them, it's that's a special type of thing. But I mean, each team had its own things. But I guess if I had to pick, I would probably say that my fourth year here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of talent on one team.
It's so much.
Favorite, you mentioned just being around the gym with those players. Favorite San Antonio Spurs memory growing up?
Favorite San Antonio Spurs memory? I would say the 2014 championship was really cool. Okay. Mostly because, when my dad was playing, I think he retired when I was 6. And so not a lot of vivid memories. I vaguely remember that last 2003 championship, but I wouldn't say that that's something I can picture very well. And then the other champion, I think 2005 and 7, I was still young and couldn't really appreciate what was going on. But then now that 14, I was in high school. I guess that would have been my junior year probably. Yeah, that would have been my junior year of high school. So I'm into basketball. Like
Yeah.
I've decided that's what I want to do, and I can really appreciate the way they played. And yeah, that was just the revenge against the Heat after the heartbreaking loss, the year before. Like you could really San Antonio really our mood as a city is affected by the Spurs
Yeah.
because that's our only, sports. That's our only. Like, we have some minor league sports teams and stuff, but that's our big sports team. And so for 2013, that whole summer was just like sad, and we were like, oh, what happened? And then to have that revenge, never, the city lit up. It felt like a holiday all summer long. Like that was a special time.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I got for you. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit down and, like I said, give some more fans some perspective into who you are and your experiences both here at Duke and beyond. So thanks again for coming back.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's my pleasure. It was some really great questions. Made me think through. Yeah, it was fun things to think about and to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for listening, Duke fans. We'll see you next week.